Hello, welcome back after a long time. Today we will start with Bernard Russell's theory of logical atomism. This we had just mentioned when we discussed the on denoting. Now, this the philosophical position of logical atomism can be seen the foundational principle of ideal language philosophy. So whenever we think of logical atomism, don't think about the metaphysical theory of atomism or atomic theories. They are metaphysical, they are not logical theories. Here, specifically, the theory of logical atomism is used in the analysis of language and thereby the understanding of reality, for helping to understand reality. So that's the importance of logical atomism, and it is used as a foundation of ideal language philosophy. And Russell himself described his philosophy as logical atomism. That's one of his books, The Philosophy of Logical Atomism, in which he describes his philosophy as that of logical atomism. And whenever we speak about logical atomism, there are two aspects for that. The first one is a metaphysical view. Even when we talk about metaphysical view here, it doesn't mean it's referring to the objects that exist in the outside world. Rather, it's a position through which we can understand the object that is existing in the world, or it's a position through which we usually understand the objects that exist in the external world. That's the metaphysical view. And secondly, there's a methodology for doing philosophy. Logical atomism is a methodology whereby we reduce the apparent reality or the reality we describe into logical concepts in order to solve the problems of philosophy. So there are two aspects for logical atomism: the metaphysical view that describes reality and the methodology for doing philosophy. And the metaphysical view holds that the world consists of plurality of independently existing things known as atomic facts. The world consists of plurality of independently existing things. Here, things do not mean objects. Here, things are the unit of thought. That will be clear in a while. And there are atomic facts. That independent existence of objects are atomic facts. And there are two aspects for that. They exhibit qualities. The objects, again, whenever we speak about object, don't take it as the thing, but the concept. So again, if we take the pen is an object as a thing having weight, having some mass, having some color, like that an object. And pen is an idea also. Go to that idea. The object pen can be further divided into pieces. But the idea of pen cannot be divided. Here it is the idea which is referred by the thing. And that has got quality. This is black in color having blue ink. That's the quality. And they stand in relation to one another. That is, the pen is on my hand. It's in relation with my hand. So it can exist independent and it stands in relation. It exhibits quality. It can exist independent. That's why it is called atomic. And it has got quality, black color or blue ink, and it stands in relation. Held my hand, like that. It's in relation with my hand. And according to logical atomism, all truths are ultimately dependent upon layers of atomic facts. The truth or the reality that we see outside can be divided into layers of atomic facts. They are made out of atomic facts. The foundational principle of all truths or all our understanding is atomic facts. Now coming to the methodological view that recommends the process of analysis. We have seen the metaphysical view. It talks about the thing having quality and stands in relation. And the methodological view, it suggests the process of analysis. And in this process, one attempts to define or reconstruct more complex notions of vocabularies in terms of simpler one. More complex. Now you think about a compound statement that rose is red and violets are blue. There are so many words in that. It's a compound statement that can be divided into atomic facts or simple units that stand in relation. And whenever we study about proposition, there are concepts related in proposition. In the same way, a complex notion is constructed out of simple notion. And these simple notions are atomic facts. They can be a complex notion can be reduced into atomic facts. And Russell's logical atomism had a profound influence of the analytic philosophy in the first half of 20th century. In the first half of the 20th century, witnessed the development of ideal language philosophy also. And logical atomism is especially interested in the process of building up the ideal language as a linguistic movement. And if we go to the historical background of this logical atomism, we have got the Hegelian principle. And when Russell was writing on denoting, the dominant intellectual movement in British was Hegelianism or absolute idealism. And we have already studied that this is the revolt against these idealist metaphysics which gave birth to analytic philosophy. And one thesis of Hegelians was monism, according to which world consists of only one thing. And the Hegelian absolute idealism claimed that the world consists of only one thing. Now, if it consists of only one thing, when you divide it into two, the reality is lost. So they never permit division. They never permit digging into deeper details from which it's constructed. For them, it's not the part which constitutes the whole, but the whole which constitutes the part. The absolute or the monistic realism determines what the facts are, independent facts are, individual facts are. But logical atomism sees in the reverse way. The independent facts, the individual facts determines what the whole is. Now, any attempt to identify parts with wholes inevitably falsifies it. Now, for Hegelian atomism, they cannot accept the identification of parts with whole. They cannot understand that the whole is made out of part, because for them the whole is the only reality. So that cannot be reduced into part. So they insist on the reality of the whole. So Russell explicitly rejects this view. And so with the refutation of this view, then whole constructs reality, or whole determines the part, that explicitly rejected by Russell, and his standpoint is the assumption that there are in fact many things. There is only one thing, there is not only one thing, there is not only one reality, absolute monistic reality, but the world is constituted out of many simple realities. That's the logical atomist position of Bernard Russell. Now, if we come to logical atomism as a methodology, the methodology of logical atomism insists on analysis. The complex notions can be analyzed into simple notions. And this methodology progresses in two phases. The logical atomism as a method of doing philosophy progresses in two phases. The first one is the analytic phase, and the second part is the synthetic phase. And the analytic phase is that of regression. Regression means it's reducing into parts. In this phase, the identification of minimum and most basic concepts and vocabulary is done. Whenever you want to understand the reality of a complex notion, this is not the complex thing like pen, but a complex notion in which there were so many words associated. You need to divide that phrase, you need to divide that concept in order to understand the fundamental concepts within that. That's what we have done in case of the analysis of the. On denoting, we have analyzed the notion of definite description the into three simple concepts, three simple claims. Whenever you take the notion take the article the into consideration, there are three simple claims that are made. There are no more claims. And if you take out one of those claims, that doesn't make the. So, like that, we can reduce the complex concepts into simple concepts. And this is done by starting with a vague, imprecise, disunified belief of ordinary language, and then to work backward into the concepts and general principles which might be thought to underlie the original body of knowledge. A complex or vague concept which is used in ordinary language is taken, and we'll work backwards to the preconditions and find out what are the essential and original underlying concepts within that. Now just think about the earlier example of the definite description. The same thing is done. The is used in everyday language, but we are not aware of the actually underlying concepts lying behind the notion the. So that's what made so many philosophical puzzles, and we could solve these puzzles by describing the in terms of the underlying notions, and that is what is done in logical atomism. And in the synthetic phase, the constructive or synthetic phase, earlier we have studied the analytic or regressive phase. In the second phase, the constructive or synthetic phase, what is done is that this phase consists of rebuilding or reconstructing the original body of knowledge of the result of first phase. We have analyzed the things into pieces and we'll reconstruct it to formulate the solution. And this is exactly what we have done in case of the analysis of the. We found so many problems, puzzles, and we found the meaning of the. Then we reconstructed the puzzles with the exact meaning of the, and there was no problem existing there. So the whole thing can be understood in a different way. Think of a cake, a big cake. You want to eat the whole cake. You cannot eat. You will choke. When you take the cake towards your mouth, you will not be able to breathe. So you cannot eat the whole cake together, a big piece of cake. So what you have to do is that you have to make the cake into chunks, into pieces, small pieces. Then you can eat it. So the whole cake will get inside. So these are the two phases of analysis and synthesis. In the first phase, you are cutting into pieces. And the second phase, you are uniting it in a different way in which you can understand, in which you can digest in that way. So two phases, that's the constructive as well as that's the analytic as well as the synthetic phase. It is intended to express the original body of knowledge with new vocabulary. The original knowledge is expressed with new vocabulary so that you will not get caught in philosophical puzzles. Again, think of the notion the. The problems were avoided or overcome by the use of the real meaning of the. And this enabled a precise description of. This enables a precise description devoid of ambiguities. Then there is no possibility of ambiguities in the use of language. Now, overall, if you see, the outcome of analysis as methodology contribute towards logically perfect language. This is what I have told. This methodology of logical atomism contributed towards the development of ideal language or logically perfect language. And that's all for today. In the next part, we'll see the other aspects of logical atomism. Till then, bye. Thank you.